Hi, this is the first installment of martial arts tips and general information segment we're going to be doing for this website. This is just kind of a test run through. We'll just see how it goes. So today, first thing I want to talk about is the art of Krav Maga and Bruce Lee's original version of Jeet Kune Do. A lot of people don't realize there's actually some decent similarities between those two arts. Bruce Lee derived Jeet Kune Do from several different elements of, I believe it was originally something like 22 different arts. And Krav Maga was derived from, I want to say, wrestling, some judo, jiu-jitsu, and various other arts throughout the years. And both were intended not as sports but as actual real life or death situation defensive arts to be used in that sense. Bruce Lee wanted to have a bit of a philosophical side to Jeet Kune Do that you don't really hear much about these days, but they both had similar origins. One of the things today you'll see since Bruce Lee's death is that Jeet Kune Do, as it's generally taught, as I was taught, has kind of gone a different way and added some things and taken away some other things, which it's debatable whether or not that's a good thing always. But one of the things that, at least in my experience, from my own classes and my teacher's instruction of myself, that was lacking, as opposed to what I later studied with the original version of Jeet Kune Do, which Bruce Lee taught, is in the footwork. And interestingly enough, the footwork that Bruce Lee originally had down for Jeet Kune Do is fairly similar to the footwork for Krav Maga. Now, a lot of the techniques in Jeet Kune Do and in Krav Maga, they, just like any art, it's going to start with your feet. Like if you ask a boxer, a good boxer, where does a good punch start? He's not going to say in the hand or the bicep or the shoulder or the hip even. He's going to say in the feet. A powerful, good punch starts in the feet, and it's the same way with any kind of technique, because, you know, where are you? You are where your feet are. You're going the direction your feet are going. Everything starts there. Your feet are what move you, and they're what help distribute your weight throughout any kind of technique. So I'm just going to focus on the footwork and the, I hate to say stances, but positions. If we can get a shot of my feet. In Jeet Kune Do originally, Bruce Lee liked to have, well, he had three different positions. One was just a flat-footed, arms to the sides, ready position, which could be mostly useful for if you were caught by surprise, you're talking to someone. You're not going to be in a fighting position all day long in every aspect of your life. So one was just like that. Another one for maximum mobility was on the balls of both of your feet, and you're just moving around, kind of like a boxer. But the thing that was tough about that was if you're on the balls of both of your feet, you can't get a lot of power. You might be able to get some, but not as much as if you just are able to ground. You're able to be flat with one of your feet. We don't do flat feet for mobility for both feet. It's harder to move around. You can do it, but it's not as good. And if you go to throw a punch, you don't get both legs in it as much. So what Bruce Lee liked to do, I think one of his favorite positions was he would arch his heel on his rear leg, so you're on the ball of your rear foot. And then when you go through and you do your punch, you come up with your front foot. So you're actually putting both legs and both hips into the punch. In Krav Maga, they have something very similar. And you can see that in even their front kicks. They will have their rear leg, the heel is up a little. Not quite as much as generally in Jeet Kune Do, but it's up. And they're a little more open with their stance, from what I have seen. And if they go to do a front kick, what they're going to do, they start off with both feet kind of pointing in the same direction. and say I want to do a front kick with my front leg, I bring it up, and I'm just slowing down for the camera, I bring it up, and as I do, my heel on my rear foot will go down and turn. And it's going to be kind of a pivot action, and it will rotate my hips and get both legs and both hips into the kick. So you get that, as opposed to if you're flat foot, you might be able to turn that foot, but you're not, just like with the punch, you're not going to get the same lift off, you're not going to get the same amount of movement with your leg. So it's an interesting, it's an interesting correlation between the two, and that's just on footwork alone. Every art's going to be a little different, but something Dan Inosanto, one of Bruce Lee's students, used to say was, I think Bruce Lee used to tell him, when you're looking at different arts, don't look at what's different, look at what's similar. And from what's similar, you can derive kind of what they're looking for, I think. Find out what the art is trying to do, why it's doing what it's doing, and then you can get a whole lot further than just by knowing what it's doing. You need why, not just what. So that concludes my rambling in this first segment.